If you haven't seen me before, because we spoke another time, a video call, would you still recognize me with glasses, or you'd be like, "Hi, how are you?" You know what I mean?
I would recognize you in glass.
You passed the smart test because I go to a lot of events, honestly, and I can disguise with and without glasses. It seems you're different people to so many people.
You know what? Actually, that's phenomena. So one of the good example of that is Henry Cavill as Superman, right?
Yeah,
And you know how we can get nerdy about it? It's like, hey, it's just glasses can never be a disguise, right?
yeah.
And Henry Cavill literally did this little experimentation. They went into New York right before the premiere with him wearing glasses and without the glasses, and no one recognized him with glasses, everything the same, and
Oh my
everyone did
God.
without the glasses. I'm like, it is crazy.
So it's a thing.
Yeah,
Okay,
so it's
so
a thing.
right. So great, yeah. Me
But
and
they
Henry
suit you. They
Cavill.
look good on you. I'll say that.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Um,
Good choice.
thanks. So I know we spoke about a couple of different things last time, and I want to bring this to our podcast and share it with everybody else. I want to start with yourself and what your journey was from working in robotics. Now you have HostEasy, which
Mhm.
is a platform to help Airbnb owners to manage their maintenance, their messages, and all of that. Tell me
Mhm.
about that journey. What prompted you to want to solve this problem?
Absolutely. I was a CS major back in my undergrad. During my first year, I saw the movie Iron Man and I was just fascinated. Since I was 14, I've always had this idea book, which I used to write my ideas on about products and companies. That was my thing. I still have it actually. I would scribble those things. I always had this like inherent idea that technology in real life is going to be the closest thing we can get to magic, right? Or the superpower. And then I watched the movie Iron Man and I'm like, yes, this is going to happen. There's no doubt about it, right? So during my second year, I switched from CS to robotics. That's what I started doing. And I built all this shit. Literally the first thing I ever built when I learned any kind of embedded systems was a life-size Iron Man arm, and it was like a
Wow.
flamethrower. So if you do this, the farther you go, the farther the flame goes, you know? And then if you do it, just shuts off, right? That's the first thing I ever built in my life, which was super exciting. I still have a YouTube video on that, which is
Did you
super
keep it
janky.
or did you give it to the school? Was it a school project, like a university project?
Yeah, apparently it was a minor project, and
Mm.
they were like, "Why did you build this? It doesn't meet the requirements for a degree." And I'm like, "I don't care. I just think it's super cool, so I want to do that." And then we won some international championships in robotics. And as time went through, we actually something happened in that 5 month period where we kept losing all the robotics competitions, even local ones, for some silly reasons. And I started losing my colleagues, my teammates, one by one. And because of course it's difficult to keep losing, the more I lost, the more I knew I have to become good at it. Then I decided, no, I want to be the best roboticist out there. So I looked for masters to do in robotics, and that's what brought me to US. And US, while I did that, I worked on the first self-driving car project on vision systems, which
Mhm.
was for DARPA challenge, and that became a thing for actually Google later on, which became Waymo. Right.
Mm.
After that, I started my career in Silicon Valley to do flight controller stack and autopilot system stack for autonomous aircrafts. Matternet was the company, which is actually still one of the first company who ever did any kind of urban logistics over people. And it was completely in healthcare when it comes to autonomous aircrafts. That
What
was a
is
super.
urban logistics? What does that
So
mean?
urban logistics means like you are the last mile delivery problem. That's what we're trying to solve. What we used to do with Matternet is that we built an aircraft, an entire ground station, which you just scan the QR code and it knows exactly where to go. It will take the package from one end to another. Urban means it's essentially happening in the city itself. So it was never before possible to do it in production, right? If you ever heard UPS Drone Airlines or Swiss Post, that was Matternet. So you know how American Airlines, they don't make their own planes. They're an operational wrapper around Boeing technology, right? What UPS Drone Airlines is. They don't make their own technology. They were operational wrapper around Matternet's technology. And I built the
Mm.
autonomy stack. I was working on it with, of course, my team of that aircraft.
So wait, do we have those drones already? I
Oh,
just think that selfishly, that because I'm in the Bay Area, everything that comes out, I'll definitely be among the first to see that. But
Absolutely.
I
No,
haven't
now they
yet.
actually started like in the Bay Area itself, actually delivery of consumer products as well. Before, it was only healthcare. We would only do medical supplies, drugs,
Oh, really?
and
Wow.
yeah.
Okay.
So with we gave hospitals complete chain of custody, and now they actually are doing consumer goods as well. And actually, the aircraft that we worked on, that is because of one of the first companies. Their aircraft is in aviation museum in Silicon Valley.
Very cool.
Yeah,
I
and then
didn't
the
know that.
same aircraft was doing in Switzerland, Zurich, Italiano, Civico, Germany. And at one point, I was the only GNC
Mm.
engineer. So I learned a lot from there, like
What does GNC stand for?
ground navigation and control.
Ground
Uh,
Navigation Control.
yeah,
Okay.
so that's what essentially is. Think of it like the moment the aircraft or the drone takes off till the time it lands, that's all flight controller. That's GNC,
Mm.
right? That's where it like goes. But then there's a business logic which a different team worked on, and there were some incredibly talented people that I got opportunity to work around. So that was great.
That is amazing. So from there, what happens in your thinking and in how it seems that life was career-wise, it was going pretty well for you. What was that burning fire? Because founders all have a burning fire inside them.
I've realized over time that a lot of times my decisions are very conscious and instinct based. In my mind, I never realized it then. I always knew that I want to be an entrepreneur. So even when I chose, like after my master's, I had like a few offers, some in big corporate companies, some in East Coast, West Coast, everything like it. My philosophy was that I want to learn how startups work. And by being in the startup, there are two ways to learn. Either you can spend your own money or you can learn on someone else's money. So that was one of the things I thought. And the other thing I knew was I had to learn that startup velocity. And that is very different all the way. And that competence is very different as well. When Matternet was hiring then, the CEO, Mr. Andreas, love him, he was like, I only want A plus plus people. That was the first tranche of hire after the raise. And I was, I think, the 30th person to get there.
What did he mean by that, the A++ people?
Have you heard Steve Jobs saying that A plus people hire, A plus people, or if you hire like B people, so they'll hire C people. So essentially the idea is that I think it's a CEO's version of saying that the person needs to be super highly competent and skilled, right?
Hmm.
And high integrity, high competence, high skill and high hardworking and drive. That's what I think they're looking for in general, right?
Do you think that necessarily means that they have to be from top schools? Or does it mean that you can be from a non-top school, especially like over here in the Bay Area? In the US, basically, the universities, the Ivy Leagues have a huge name globally. So everybody's like, oh, Harvard, oh, Stanford, which they're amazing schools with high caliber students for sure.
Mhm.
There's also a lot of other schools in all around the world and in the US. So do you think it's about that, or it's about there other things comes into play?
It depends on what kind of game you want to play.
Hmm.
A lot of times, founders initially will have to hire from these schools, not just because of the competence, but also because of the name, because that
Yes.
helps in raising money. That's one thing,
Yes. Hmm.
which is a totally good strategy. I would say no, it's not, right? Because it takes a lot of legwork to attain the same kind of optics, right? Also, if you're going from probabilistic standpoint, yes, the probability would be higher in general. I believe so. But that is not the main truth because you have to make your system or your process of intake such that you can filter out the people in the correct way. The way I look at it personally as a founder right now is that I don't look at the optics per se. I look at first principles, like determine the problem, make it very deterministic, and then actually go from if they qualify for those things or not. And then you go from there. One thing is certain that, yeah, although the probability might be higher from bigger schools or better schools, and it's not because the school did something different that actually allowed them to be great. They were great already, and they
Hmm.
filtered that out before. So probability becomes high. But rest assured that for the most part, your probability of paying for the same talent is going to be high as well. I do believe absolutely that we are going global more than ever, and amazing talent comes from amazing places. You have to have an eye for it and a system that can allow for that to happen.
Yeah. Because I was looking at this study that was done, and I know that we're going a little sideways from what we were talking about, but this is actually interesting.
Mhm.
There was a study, I forgot his name, that they have done research on 10,000 plus Series A startups.
Yeah.
And they found out that, contrary to what we all believe, or especially the VCs believe, maybe they'll start learning from this eventually, is that yes, although the probability of getting quality people from Ivy League institutes, also FANG workplaces and all of that is higher, but the startups that reached Series A doesn't reflect that. More than 70% of them were non-Ivy League, non-FANG, and it made me see that, okay, the world is not really just around that, which makes sense because there's a lot of factors that come into where you go. But again, I also agree that the probability between the same number of people from different universities, you'll get high caliber people from better schools. But at the
Yeah.
same time, somebody who's not gone to school becomes super
Yeah.
successful that we shouldn't overlook.
And to be honest, over my career, which is only a decade long, I have worked with like people from MIT side by side, incredible people who had no degrees, and each one of them equally competent.
Yeah.
When I say equally, I truly mean that, like equally super genius. And I've also, for example, in India, we have IIT,
Yeah. I didn't know
university.
about it. And there was a point in time where in the beginning, some of these very intelligent people will come to me. Yeah, as a badge of honor, I'm from IIT. And I was like looking so dumb because I was not like, I was like, wait, what does that actually mean? What does it stand for? And then eventually I realized, oh, okay, so that's a good school. Sharif University and Tehran University in Iran and other universities elsewhere that we haven't heard their names of even.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
and those are incredible schools. But then a lot of my friends were from IIT. And over time, when I worked with all of them, I realized, oh, I am not for any of these schools. And I was not just able to keep up, but also like be really good in some other things, in some other ways. And the only difference was that someone from MIT had a $300,000 debt, and I had $30,000 for school. So that
You're the
made a lot
proof
of
itself that you don't need to be, and this is just to encourage others who are not coming from those schools, that you can be very successful if you put the determination and if you really have a clear goal and something is burning inside of you that you want to go and
yeah,
do. The means and the tools will come together. And if
yeah.
you're really at it, you're going to be able to make it happen. It was Einstein that was saying something along the lines that 99% is effort, 1% is genius, or something like that.
I believe if you think about it, if you want to be successful, is essentially three things, I would say. One, well, you time it. You can't do it all the way, but that's one of the things, timing. Second thing is the grit and the hunger you have. And the third is the decisions you take, how good of a decisions you can take. So decisions and grit together, it all is a compounding effect. And for
Mm.
some people who were studying when they were like in 10th grade in high school, when they got in better school, their odds of success always going to be better, because success essentially is a game of odds, and you're trying to like make decisions or actions with intensity or quality that over time that your odds of success are better, or odds of achieving what you want to achieve in the time frame is better. That's what success is. So yeah, if someone who like studied a lot and got accepted in a good school, that does count. It increases your odds of success, no doubt about it. But if over time you lost that hunger, hence you lost the hard work and all the work that you can do later on, then you will not be successful.
It's also about like who, because foundership and being an entrepreneur is a completely different game. I think that it's just different type of personalities, and we need everybody on this planet for things to work. If we want to go back to again where you started building HostEasy, what is the problem you're trying to solve? What actually had you pivot your career to doing that, and how did it start?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a very close relationship with the problem. Close in a sense that I experience a lot of pain myself, but also the fact that I could see the solution that we're trying to curate is a conduit towards my own life's purpose. It's
Mhm.
very much aligned with it. So it's close in like more spiritual and experiential way. I was in Las Vegas. What happened was I was going through my own journey of finding myself, and I realized, oh, over the course of 1.5 years, I finally found one of my core and top values is freedom. I want to be free. So I'm like, okay, financial freedom is not the only freedom, but that's the freedom that gives you a lot of other freedoms. So it opens the pathways for other stuff, right?
Mm.
So with getting financial freedom first. I'm like, okay, 3.8 million travelers travel in Las Vegas every month. Let's make the best out of it. I opened an Airbnb, got a house, set it up exactly the vibe I wanted. Fortunately, it blew up. It was crazy, 92% occupancy and more. I keep increasing the prices, the occupancy stays. I'm like, that's amazing. I'm going to have some passive income, time to make some more money while I loved my job as a robotics architect. During that time, within 3 weeks or 4 weeks, I found, oh my God, this is not passive at all, Akshay. It's like so much work. It's like having a new tenant every 3 days, every 3.5 days. And I had been on call for 8 years before that straight for it, making autopilots for aircrafts. And even right now, it was an important role. At 2 a.m., I would get calls from guests, hey, we can't get in. And I'm like, you have the code. And they're like, we're too drunk to read anything. I'm like, okay, I get it. Or they're like at 3 a.m., can you turn on the jacuzzi heating? And of course, I love hospitality. And if they're in Vegas, they better get the jacuzzi heated at 3 a.m. if they want that, right? All of that was catching up to me. One time I went to India, and then at 3 a.m., I had to somehow operate because the cleaners didn't show up or they just was no shows. And I'm like, what's going on? I felt that pain personally. I am really proactive in general, but I'm very, very lazy when it comes to doing monotonous tasks. Same task over and over again, I just cannot do that. I need to keep changing and renovating. That's how my personality is. And when I was doing, I'm like, these are the same monotonous tasks. How can we automate? So I went what everyone did. I found all the applications I could find. At one point, I had 10 dashboards, 8 subscriptions all stitched together, and still I was on call because I have to be the one working on those dashboards, right? They're kind of streamlining, but they're still not doing things for me. The only other options was to give it to a property management company and they take 25 to 35% of the revenue. Our margins are not there. No point in doing that anymore, right? So I'm like, how do I figure this out? And one night, I'm like on a weekend on my couch, hugging myself, and I'm watching the movie Batman. And I'm like, I'm always going to be on call. And I see Batman's house. I see his living room. I'm like, how is his house so well kept at all times while he's always out with Catwoman? Like, what's going on? And then while I was thinking that, Alfred walks in. I'm like, oh, Alfred. I need an
Who's
Alfred for my
Alfred?
Airbnb.
Tell us about Alfred.
That is what we did, literally. So I was like, okay, that is what I need from Airbnb. So I'm like, I have built AI for way more sophisticated stuff. I've been doing autonomy for like 8, 10 years now. I can do it for my Airbnb. What if Alfred can talk to my cleaner Maria and I don't have to learn Spanish because that's the problem? Or it can actually turn on and turn off my jacuzzi and it can actually run my entire thing for me. So I'm like, yes, this is good. That's when I knew it's more than a bot. It's actually an entire platform. So that's our goal is at HostEasy. We're trying to make hosting short-term rentals like Airbnb, VRBO easy. Hence HostEasy. That's how it came into fruition.
Amazing story. Your target audience or target users would be people who have Airbnbs. How many do they need to have in order for it to make sense for them to use your
A
software?
1 to 1,000 to 5,000 because that's what we did. We built a system which learns from you at all times. The moment you click the button, it extracts everything about your listing, learns everything that has to know. And now the AI literally calls you if it does not know a few things about your listing. And you can have a conversation. It remembers it forever, and boom, that's it. Now Alfred is in the front seat. It does everything for you. It communicates with guests, communicates with vendors, cleaners. Not just that, it's also tapped into the market data. It knows what your competitors are, how many flights are flying, how the travel index looks like. It looks at all of that and also changes pricing every night to absolutely make sure that, okay, you are getting the most bang out of the buck. On top of that, it also can escalate, which is in case there's some crisis or some attention needed or something like it. It pings you right now, be like, hey, this listing is crisis, I need your help. And if you respond on the same platform, which you can, right, it remembers how to like, deal with the same situation next time onwards. Also, on top of that, what we are building now is you can literally talk to Alfred and be like, hey, Alfred, can you not allow cats from the next time onwards? It really screwed the couch last time. And boom, that's it. Now Alfred goes to your Airbnb, VRBO, Booking.com, all the platforms that you're connected to. It'll change the policies, change the messages, and next time if the guests are asking, it knows what to respond. So it literally is a done for you service like never before. That's what we're trying to do.
You said that if you want to turn off and on your jacuzzi, Alfred will do it for you. Are you using IoT devices in the Airbnbs that you're managing?
Yeah, so you can connect the devices. Not that. You can also add your operations team. You can add your cleaners, vendors, pool guys. Literally, you just add the information. It sends them an invite link. They click on it. Boom. Now they're part of your operations team. And then it knows that when to contact them, how to like manage and coordinate all of that. So it kind of does that for you. And what we have done is on our side is that we also provide you a team of people where like we absolutely make sure that every action by Alfred is supervised by real people at all time. So in a normal management company, you have to do all the work. A team of 4 people can maybe manage maximum 50 listings. In our case, because all the work is done for them, they're just supervising. The same team of 4 can now manage 400 listings. And that really gives you best of both. There's the humanness, because humans are making sure everything is human and amazing, and also the done for you aspect, right? Where you cannot miss anything, because humans tend to miss things every now and then.
Give me 1 second. My cat just jumped on the table. Get out of here, Melina. Probably this part should be
Absolutely.
cut, but look.
That's the cameo.
You
Hey,
really have to get in the picture every now and then.
what's the cat's name?
Melina.
Melina. Look at
You
those
have to do that
eyes.
every
Oh
time. She
my
needs
God.
attention every now and then. Thank you. She'll come again, but
I like the cameo.
so this is great. So you as a host can talk to it and text with it and change policies, change
It's
listings
the
and
same
everything.
experience. Like the guest will think the host itself is doing all of
Mhm.
that, right?
Okay.
So the experience does not change on the guest side.
Right. You have the same experience. Guests can also do the same, talk and text with it. The maintenance teams can do that. Anyone on the maintenance. It updates the policies, updates the prices. It looks and monitors the travels, the ins and outs and everything. Even after the guests have left, the host can still talk to Alfred and the guests can still talk to Alfred. It's not, what are the hosts telling you about HostEasy? What is their experience?
We've got some incredible experience. First of all, we always get the first impression, which is like, hey, I don't believe it seems too good to be true. And we are like, yeah, we know that, but that's the whole point. Just look at it for 15 minutes and you'll know, right? And the moment they see it, they get it. Because for the very first time, what's happening, Sarah, is that there's so many property management systems out there, but they're the platforms where you have to do the work. Now, for the very first time, it's a platform that does the work for you. So your goal is you have 3 jobs now, and only 3 jobs. 1, get some popcorn. 2, lean back. And 3, watch Alfred do the work and enjoy. And maybe enjoy your passive income as well. That's all you're doing right now.
What type of properties? Is it going to be just like the Airbnb types, or do you have any plans for or already helping, say, for example, commercial real estate properties, real estate owners that have multiple properties and they want to manage it? Can they use your platform as well?
Yeah, so right now we only do short-term rentals. But our vision is not just property management. Yes, that went great, and that's what we're going to start with, right? I said it's aligned with my core purpose. I just want to make humanity better. And the way I look at it is that for the very first time in our entire life, we have a technology that can actually take over service, which was not really possible properly. We had companies which we call SaaS companies, right? Software as a service. But to be honest, a SaaS model was never a true SaaS model, because it would take one workflow of an entire service and then streamline it as much as possible. That's why we believe in the next generation of companies. It's fast, freedom as a service. We can truly give people their freedom back. That's our goal. And we have a very specific definition of freedom. What's freedom? It's essentially it's not like when I'm able to like have pina colada for 3 weeks straight, I will be miserable on the 4th. Freedom is when I can actually live a life where I can exercise most of my time or life force in the things that I love to do, not what I have to do. And now imagine if we can make such an AI product that can literally be injected into an industry and take over all the work that people in the industry hate to do. And we started with real estate. We are going to do this one industry at a time. First industry, real estate. In real estate, everyone loves investing. They love curating a great experience, but they hate managing. So what do? We automate managing end to end, everything done for you. without breaking the bank. Then we can do the same thing for law. We can same thing for Medicare. So what happens is, because if you look at every human being, I truly believe that every human being has certain inclinations that they flow freely in. You know how time just passes, you don't realize? And when a person is in that flow state is when that person is really the most productive, provide the most amount of value for the universe, for the world in that time. Now imagine if even 80% of the humanity was productive in that level for 80% of the time, we are going to be a different species altogether. That's my vision. That's what I want to go for. Freedom as a service. That's why I say it's not just us. Any company who is moving towards becoming a freedom as a service, where they can leverage the power of AI or technology to take over the things that we humans hate to do, so we can spend most of our time in what we love to do, that's, I think, is the closest thing we will have to perpetual machines,
Do
right?
you think that we will have more small businesses because of this ability that AI can give us and all of these tools that are being built around the real problems and trying to find the solutions? And it's at an incredible speed. Do you think, and a lot of companies are already, unfortunately, starting to lay off a lot of some of the workforce, at least. For the first time, it seems McKinsey has laid off a couple of thousand. Microsoft laid off just 2 weeks back. What it seems to me, it's that there's a lot of opportunity for people to just start their own businesses and they don't need to hire so many people. It will be more affordable for people to be creative around what problem is out there. Let's build a solution around it. And there are tools out there that's going to help you build those solutions. Or you just team up with like two other people, have a 3-person company and do incredible things. And you're going to, maybe feel more independent. Not maybe, I mean, definitely if you do it right. I think this is where the direction that we're going. What do you think about that?
I absolutely agree. So we are a firm believer of luxury in general, and I believe freedom is the only luxury. If you think about it, world in a way has always aligned itself to become more global, for every person to be able to connect with each other. Initially, we started by reducing the physical distance. And how did we do that? We had trains, railways. Now, people who could never be beyond 100 kilometers now could be thousands of kilometers away and still connect. Then we had mobile phones, communication devices. Now your digital presence can be almost anywhere in the world. We became more connected. Now that was a physical communication gap that we reduced. Now the second thing is, we still had a lot of friction, or I would say limitation, in coming together towards a purpose. Work brings people together. Purpose brings people together. So now when AI is essentially taking away all the competence gap, why? Because IQ is commoditized, right? It also taking away the language gap, because AI can translate everything. I am 100% certain we will have these voice calls, video calls like this, where even if you're speaking a different language, which I think it's possible now already, it will be translated in real time, right?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
language barrier is also gone, and we already have the distance barrier taken care of because of COVID, right? We really got used to remote working, which was essentially that. So now what is happening is we're moving towards a more global economy. Because in a world where literally anyone can build anything because IQ is being commoditized,
Hmm.
what differentiates one product from another?
What do you mean IQ is being commoditized?
IQ, in a way, is essentially the ability of a person to able to connect the dots from different segments and have a logical inference about a thing, right?
Hmm.
Or be creative.
Hmm.
So in a way, you can deduce thing, your deduction capability. Now, when you have something like a O3 model, which can reason for you,
Hmm.
right? A GPT-4o model. And these models are only going to get better, not at the scale that Sam Altman talks about, but still, right? Way better. So now I don't need to know higher level mathematics to able to become a physicist, right? So that IQ gap that I would have is essentially commoditized, because if I have $25 in my pocket, I have essentially made that gap that I would take years to learn and still never know if I'd be competent or not into a commodity that I can use.
Hmm.
That's what I mean by IQ being commoditized. Our world is actually becoming way better than what I thought it was. Imagine Jarvis be available for everyone. Not just 1 or 2%, literally everyone. We're already going towards that, right?
Mhm.
Which is a very good thing for the society, I believe. Now that every individual has so much power to create so much value for the world, right? Every individual packs way more impactful power than before. And that's why when IQ is kind of commoditized, which is inference and analytical skills, now what becomes the next thing that really differentiates you from other, which is true human experience. We are going to use AI to make humans human again. That's what we're going towards.
If you tell it, hey, I want to write a romantic poem for this person, it writes the best poems, because
Absolutely.
being poetic is a very high level of um deep level of IQ, I feel. If you're going to use Chat GPT or the LLMs that are just getting more and more advanced, eventually what's going to make a difference, I feel, is going to be the value of another human being's aura, like you in person with them. How do you
See,
feel about it's the physicality of people is going to matter, because AI has learned a lot and will continue to learn a lot from us. And then what is left for AI to feel? It can't feel me. It can't feel you.
exactly. And that is going to be the most important thing. And that's why I say EQ is important, because what's going to
Mm.
happen is in the future, you will buy the thing because you have the next level of choice. That's why I say EQ is going to become the next mode, because it's going to be the differentiators in all the products and commodities out there. And the other thing is, in general, I believe now kindness is going to become the new competence. That's the next level of, I would say, us getting more civilized. What I relate with, associate with, not just what I want.
Let's finish with what's the best way that people can find you?
You guys can always find me on LinkedIn if you have a short term rental and you guys really want to like have a system that does all the work for you without taking the crazy 8, 10, 20, 30%. Check us out. HostEasy is the company where we try to make hosting easy. It's HOSTEASY.ai. And that's it. No one could pronounce my name, Akshay, right? So I was like,
Why
just
not?
call
It's
me.
easy. See, I did it.
Yeah, you
Akshay.
were you're incredible at it.
I'm incredibly smart.
Yeah, and kind.
I am. I mean, I
Yes.
hope that I am. Thank you so much. It was great. You have an awesome the rest of the day.
Same here. Thank you so much for having me, Sarah, and have an incredible rest of your day.